Hello, I'm Claire. I've got Adstock End Farm where we grow over 100 different varieties of heritage fruit, apples, pears, cherries and plums. And I've brought some apples along today to lovely Lincolnshire to give to my friend and tell her a little bit about what each of them are. This is a Wotton Costard. It's a big old-fashioned type of apple. Comes from Wotton House in Buckinghamshire, and the tree is probably over 300 years old. It was one that Capability Brown missed when he was landscaping the gardens at Wotton House, and a little bit of the orchard survived. So this is a fruit from a tree that was grafted from that original tree. Big, lovely, lumpy old thing. Good for eating as a dessert, but you need to chop it into pieces unless you've got a really big mouth. This is a Charles Ross. It's a lovely apple that can be used for dessert, again cut into small pieces, or for cooking. Lovely size, makes a lovely baked apple, beautiful colour, looks a little bit like a Cox's Orange Pippin but much larger, and come out really well this year. Very pleased with them. Look at the size of that, big as a baby's head.
Smashing.
I can't actually remember the name of this one. I think it might be a rosette. It might be a Mary Morgan, but it's a lovely, knobbly, irregularly sized, irregularly shaped apple with a very deep basin to it, and it's a dessert apple, and it's come off the tree that is fruited for the first time this year. So whatever it is, and when I remember, it will be very nice, I'm sure.
Okay, perhaps you'll message me with the name of that and I can add it to the link.
I will do. This is a Bazeley. It's a traditional Buckinghamshire apple. Comes from a village called the Lee near Great Missenden down in the Chiltern Hills. It's a corruption in name of Best of the Lee, which if you speak it in sort of broad southern Buckinghamshire accent, which I can't do, and say it very quickly, Best of the Lee comes out as Bazeley. This is a king fruit. It has the traditional knobble over the top. The king fruit comes from the king blossom, which is the first one to actually flower out of a little set of 5. There are actually 5 flower buds in every bud that you can see on an apple tree, and the king fruit is the biggest, and it ends up with this rather funny little lump over the stalk area. It's a dessert apple. It's slightly sharp. It goes this lovely brilliant yellow colour, and it's a sort of an elongated shape. Again, quite a traditional sort of shape for Buckinghamshire fruits of that area. This is a golden Harvey. It's often used as a cider apple, and it's known as the brandy apple because it has a really high sugar content to the juice. And the more sugar you have in apple juice, the more alcohol you can ferment from it. But it started life as a Victorian dessert apple. It's quite small, it's quite regular, it has this lovely russeted sort of basin to it. It's very, very sweet, and so it can be eaten as a dessert apple, or you can mill it up and press it and exude the juice and use it to make cider, where it adds a lot of alcohol to the final product. This is a Grenadier. It's a little small this year, we haven't had an awful lot of rain. It's a culinary apple and quite distinctive with its lovely pale green colour and these little double bumps, the set of 10 ribs around the base. Apples are a sort of a 5-ribbed fruit, but occasionally they go to 10 with the larger ribs interspersed with smaller ones, which you can see here on the Grenadier. It'll make a lovely pie, although there's only 2 small ones, so it'll be a very small pie, but they do make very nice apple pie or apple puree. Nicely tart, a very nice cooking apple. These are a seedling of the Chinnor Loop West tree, and Chinnor Loop West comes from the west end of the passing loop in Chinnor Station Yard on the Chinnor Princes Risborough Railway. And many years ago, one of the apples managed to sprout one of its seeds below the tree. It became a little seedling tree. It was saved and nurtured by myself, popped in my orchard, and this year it's fruited for the very first time, and these are the fruits. And they've inherited some of the characteristics of their parent, because apples don't actually grow true from seed, so they'll inherit some of the characteristics of each parent, but not necessarily be identical. This one's inherited the colouring. It's got the lovely red blush and the stripes. It's got the lovely bright green sort of undercolour, but a little bit more russeted, and although its parent is very, very juicy, this isn't quite so juicy, but it's still a very lovely apple. It's got a really good flavour, and I've got high hopes for it. So it's a very special tree. There's only one in the entire world, and this is some of the first fruits from it this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, and I've got it on camera.
There you go.
You never know what you're going to come across in the daily adventures, do you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this year we've had a record-breaking lack of rainfall. It's been really hot summer, a long hot summer. How's that affected you with your crops this year, Claire?
In the orchard, we've actually got a very heavy clay soil which retains the moisture very well. So whereas other people have had apples sort of the size of golf balls when they should be the size of tennis balls, we've actually done quite well. For example, our Charles Ross are actually very large this year. The tree obviously found some water to play with, and the Wotton Costard, equally large, lovely big fruit, no smaller than it would be in a wet year. However, our Grenadiers, which are these lovely fruits here, should be at least this size, and this year they're not. So the Grenadier tree must be lacking a little bit in water, so maybe it's in a part of the orchard which isn't quite getting as much water as the rest of them. So my orchard has been quite lucky with moisture retentive soil, but certainly other people that I know who've got more loamy and sandy soils have reported that their fruits are very small, and they've got Bramley apples in particular, which should come out 4 or 5 inches in breadth, are the size of golf balls. So for Bramley apples in sandy and loamy soil this year, certainly in North Buckinghamshire, not very good, but so far in our orchard, fingers crossed, we've done quite well.
So it's quite complicated how it affects the different types of apples and different areas of the country.
Absolutely, and much of it is to do with what the soil can actually hold on to in terms of moisture. If you've got a nice sandy soil or loamy soil, the water will drain away very quickly. If you've got clay retentive soil on a clay base like ours, then it sort of acts like a sponge, and there's just that little bit of water available for the tree roots to grow down to. In other parts of the country, yeah, they've really not done so well at all because there just isn't the moisture. However, one of the things that the lack of moisture does do is really concentrate the flavours within the smaller apples, and also with all the lovely sunshine we've had for such a long period, that actually develops the sugars in the apples as well. So this year, particularly for those who are going to be making cider, the fruits will be full of sugar, full of flavour, very concentrated, and I'm expecting 2022 to be a really, really good year for cider. Lots of flavour, lots of high alcohol, more sugar turns to more alcohol. So I think we'll be seeing ciders made late in the year from late picked fruit or late harvested fruit that's allowed to mature. Could be like 2018, where it was up in the 9s and the 10s in terms of alcohol by volume percentage. That was very, very rare. Maybe it's not so rare now.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Claire.
You're very welcome.